Creativity and community are absolutely vital in challenging times. Creativity is also consistently named one of the top skills of the 21st century, especially with the advent of AI. Welcome to Syncreate, a show where we explore the intersections between creativity, psychology, and spirituality. We believe everyone has the capacity to create. Our goal is to demystify the process and expand the boundaries of what it means to be creative. What holds us back? How do we get stuck? And how can we fully embrace our creativity? We talk with visionaries and change makers and everyday creatives working in a wide range of fields and media, from the arts to science, technology, and business. We aim to illuminate the creative process, from imagination to innovation and everything in between. I'm Melinda Rothaus, and I help individuals and organizations bring their dreams and visions to life.
And I'm Charlotte Gulick. I'm a writer, educator, and writing coach. We are the co-authors of a book on the creative process, also called Syncreate. At Syncreate, we're here to support your creative endeavors. If you have an idea for a project or a new venture and you're not sure how to get it off the ground, find us at syncreate.org. Our book, now available in both print and audiobook format, walks you through the stages of the creative process so you can take action on your creative goals. We offer resources, creative process tools, and coaching to help you bring your work to the world. Welcome to the podcast quickies of Syncreate. We're so excited that you've joined us today. We are going to talk today about breaking the glass ceilings in our own minds. And the idea here is maybe we've done a lot of work on I give myself permission to call myself a writer, or I give myself permission to call myself a dancer. And the old cobwebs in our brain go, okay, we might let you have that, but we're not going to let you have that pair of silk pajamas you really want. So the idea here is, can we be more abundant in our own thinking about our creativity and about our lives? So, what I have been thinking about is, where do I have scarcity thinking? Where does it show up? I'm on the job market. It's kind of a crazy time to be on the job market. I'm in education in addition to creativity, and the landscape is changing. And old Charlotte, the one who was afraid to take risks and who thought there wasn't enough to go around, my initial thought was like, "Oh, I'll never find a job." And that's just scarcity thinking right there. And now I've been just being like, just so curious about what it's going to be like, and really trying to check my own thinking so that I'm not the person who's eliminating, eliminating, eliminating possibility in my own mind.
Yeah.
Does that
Yeah.
pick up anything for you?
I think we do this to ourselves all the time in all kinds of different ways. Like you mentioned the job market, like automatically dismissing, like we look at a job, it looks interesting, but you're like, well, I'm not qualified for this, or who am I to apply for this, and we know there's a gender disparity in perceptions, right? So that often men who feel that they have, a certain, not the full amount perhaps of the qualifications, but a bare minimum, will go ahead and apply for the job. They have the confidence to apply, where
Mhm.
women will only apply if they feel like they have, the majority of the qualifications or all of the qualifications, So there's something in our mindset that holds us back. And there's many different examples of this across, our lives. Who am I to put myself forward in this way? Or other people know what they're doing and I don't. Or other people have figured out life and I haven't. And so we keep ourselves back from potential opportunities when, paradoxically, if we put ourselves forward a little bit, often we meet the person where we find out about the opportunity and then we can take a step towards it that we never would have if we hadn't put ourselves out there, even just a little bit.
Well, I have won, humbly, I say I've won a couple of writing awards, and my big insight, which is super obvious, but I had to like live into it was, oh, my chances of winning are so much higher if I apply than if I don't.
Yes.
Like that's a big duh, but I
Like
mean, like I wasn't
100%
saying
higher.
like, oh, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. Um, and so the just making sure that we're paying attention to it, and also clarifying that it's not necessarily easy.
Right.
It's not like, "Oh, just get over it." It is there are systems, there are messaging, the comfort zone for certain people is so much stronger than it is for other people. There are very valid reasons that we might have a mindset that is embedded in scarcity thinking. And so just, to acknowledge that there's systems that also play a role in this isn't just like think your way out of it. But what we're suggesting here is a couple of things. One is observe ourselves, like, where might I be holding myself back? For me, it's come up in 2 areas, aprons and pajamas. Um, I wrote an essay that was talking about food and my friend who gives me feedback on it, she's like, all this time I think you just don't sleep, you do so much, and then I realized you don't cook." She's like, "Cooking is so important to me." She's like, "I spend so much time there," and in the essay I'm talking about, like, we have 2 cans of beans, like, a pantry the word pantry feels indulgent to me because I didn't grow up with that kind of space,
Mhm.
and so, "Oh, I could have 4 cans of beans," like, wild, and then, the question came up about aprons, and I'm like, "Oh, they're just prissy." She says, "No, they're really practical, Charlotte." And so I think that for me, it's just a shift about things that I have said, "Oh, I don't want that," or "That's not part of my world because I don't have the resources." Um, but I think the other thing is like, how do I want to feel on a consistent basis? Do I
Yeah,
want to feel like I'm depriving myself, or is there more? Are there small ways that I could say yes more often?
right, right. Even, like, wearing nice underwear. Like, most
Yeah,
of the
100.
time, no one else is gonna know, but you know, and it makes you
Yeah.
feel good, right?
Well, then I think that that same friend was talking about this, like, working with a style coach, and she's like, "Don't judge me. I've worked with a style coach." And the main thing was, how do you wanna feel?
Yeah.
It's not about expensive things or flashy things, it's that same point that you're saying, like, "Oh, I'm gonna feel a little fun."
Yeah, and when we dress nice or when we dress up, it's mostly for ourselves, like you're saying, not necessarily for other people, but it changes the way we carry ourselves. We're more uplifted and maybe more confident.
And not more uplifted just because we have a better bra.
That's right, but that could also be true.
Be part of it. So, for me, in the practicality of this is where am I being a little bit small in my thinking about myself? And it's really come up with novel writing. I had a
Mm,
novel published many, many years ago, and I've worked with 2 other ones. I've written 3 drafts, and, um so in my journaling, before I begin my creative stuff, I have just started to say, I want to feel empowered and purposeful.
yeah.
I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool. And then I'm like, I want to feel like an empowered, purposeful novelist. It has blown the roof off. I'm up in a
Really?
creative, a creative firestorm.
Wow.
Um, Last weekend I wrote 11,000 new words on a novel.
Amazing. Just because of
And
that
I'm so excited.
mindset shift, do you think that had a big part to do with it?
I think it had a huge part of it. It came out, part of it, the seed got planted in our coaching group
Mhm.
where one of our participants talked about she may not have published those books, but still allowing herself to be very proud of the fact that she had written those books.
Yes.
And that kind of percolated in my mind, and this kind of coincided with this idea of like, where am I where am I having scarcity thinking?
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, I don't know, just blew the lid off.
That's great.
And And then it's rough, right? It's a first it's a I mean, I've written, like, the first 50 pages 3 times, but now I'm on to page 140 and
Amazing.
just going.
Yeah.
Um, so I think and then, of course, not everyone's gonna have that creative firestorm with them, but I think part of it, it's like a series of things of saying, "Oh, could I be a little more expansive in my thinking in this area, and this area, and this area," and kind of a surround sound of mindset inquiry.
Yeah. I think this also there's a component of this, we talk a lot about community and creativity and, being part of groups, like joining creative circles, whatever that might look like for you in your field and whatever you do, I always marvel at people who maybe they're in between jobs, but they're networking by joining different communities and participating actively as a volunteer. Like they may not be getting paid for it, but they are taking an active role in different communities, and thus they are building connections that can lead to other opportunities. And sometimes when I witness other people doing this, I'm like, oh, yeah, of course. I'm like, I don't always do that, but I'm trying to do it more. I've mentioned on here before, and actually, I'm going to have my friend Hannah on the show tomorrow. We're going to be recording, who I started this songwriting group with. And I tell you what, that group has been so amazing, not only for the accountability of, like, writing a song every month and having a group to check in and get feedback with, but just the sense of community that it fosters, and, like, all of us are feeling so inspired by it, and it's fueling our creativity in different ways. So, like, maybe it's joining a community, of something that you're interested in, or maybe it's starting a community.
Mhm. Mhm. I think the other piece of that is recognizing that, um, maybe because of the job search, but, like, there's so many ways to make a contribution.
Yeah.
And if that's like you're part of a songwriting group and you share your song that sparks something for someone else, and that if we can think about how the relationship between abundance, community, contribution, resonance, like it's a mind shift, but we're
Mhm.
thinking about um, how much plenty there is.
Yes. Yes, definitely. So, the other piece of this is just even within our own minds, like allowing ourselves to see possibilities we hadn't allowed ourselves to consider before. Like we tend to get so narrow often in our focus of not only like what we're doing, but what's possible. And, the possibilities are always so much more infinite than we realize. So, like, what are ways that we can widen that realm of possibilities for ourselves in our own minds?
And that leads us to our pro tip. And we're asking folks, like, what's an indulgence? Where could you be soft rather than hard on yourself? Thinking about where that we, like you were just saying, if we've narrowed ourselves in some area of our life, can we expand a little bit, take up a little more space? And the idea of like, what's a positive risk that you can take that feels expansive? And it could be a thing that you do, or it could be something you do with your time. Maybe it's a nap in the afternoon. Maybe it's a walk with a friend. Um, Maybe it's the underwear,
Or
um,
the silk pajamas or
the silk
the fancy
pajamas,
apron.
the fancy apron. Um, maybe that's a first step is like what feels indulgent to you because maybe you narrowed down and you don't even know.
Mhm.
And it doesn't always have to be about things that take money.
Right. I know. Here's just a really super mundane example. I was on my way home from wherever yesterday, and I was gonna be going right by Trader Joe's, which I don't get to all that often, but they have certain things that I really like there, and I was running out of something, and so it was like, I'm not feeling well, maybe I'll just go home, I'll just skip it, but then it's like, well, when am I gonna be going by there again? I'm like, I'm just gonna do it. So I went, I found a parking spot right out front, and I got a bunch of stuff, and then I looked in my refrigerator this morning, and I felt so
Yeah.
abundant. Like, I have lots of really nice, healthy food to eat that I wouldn't have if I hadn't stopped yesterday, you know?
It's a great example, a great example. It's kinda like, getting back at, like, how do we wanna feel?
Mhm.
And where like, what's the visual narrative around how we feel? And, the where might the glass ceiling be? And do we wanna break it?
Yeah. And the answer is yes.
Yes.
We wanna break it.
Don't get cut, Mordecai. Find and connect with us on YouTube and social media under Syncreate. If you enjoy the show, please subscribe and leave us a review.
We're recording today at Record ATX Studios in Austin, with Charlotte joining us from the Hudson Valley. The podcast is produced in collaboration with Mike Osborne at 14th Street Studios. Thanks so much for being with us, and see you next time.